Alright, well, I think we're recording. Yes, we do seem to be. Not sure what my battery state is. New camera. The old one is kind of defunct. It'll record okay, it'll snap pictures okay, but the design for the housing for the USB connector left something to be desired from the very start. I cannot see what the hell I'm doing here. Yeah. Alright, so the connector was loose in the housing, would always pull out when I disconnected it. Tried to super glue it a couple of times, that didn't work, it still pulled out. Wiggled it off every time I disconnected it. Hanging on to the other side of it, and still eventually a wire broke and it doesn't get recognized by my computer anymore. That's too bad. Whoa, libation for the gods there for by accident, but don't tell them that. Think of the day as water, don't worry about the label because it's actually been decanted from a 5-gallon jug that was refilled at one of the local water filter things by a local liquor store. And my golly, do we have a bunch of noise going on in the background now. I kind of wanted to talk about some, well, the discussion is about art, it seems. Now I have a few things to say about art, my little soapbox as it were. In my opinion, the first thing that art is about communication. It's about, I have a thought in my head that I want to translate into the real world so that you can see it or hear it, and then you have that thought too. It's about as close as we can hope to get to telepathy up until we manage some kind of mechanical linkage through computers or something, I suppose. The second thing that art is about is passion. If you don't care about what you're doing, then I really don't see why anybody else should. How you can ask for it, how you can expect it, you have to care first, then your audience does by picking up on your caring. Otherwise, it's a bunch of empty. My next part about it is that it's complete, other than what the granting that your audience, whether they're looking at your painting or they're hearing your poetry or they're watching your play or your dance or whatever, in their heads they have their own experiences, their own perceptions, their own interpretation, so that they are bringing something to it that's not there without them. But as far as the work itself, it's complete in itself, and basically the kind of thing I'm referring to, I participate in Poetry Slam as much on a weekly basis as I can manage, which is like somewhere around 98% of the time at least. And I get really tired sometimes of the, "Hi, how you doing?" You don't care. You could care less. There are very few people who actually know me, who if they were in a conversation with me might actually care to hear my response. Other than that, it's a bunch of hoo-ha. It's schmoozing. It's going for that extra point or half a point or whatever it is that gets tacked on just for that alone, that you wouldn't have otherwise, just on the basis of the content of the work and its presentation. my girlfriend broke up with me, or my grandmother died, or I was driving along in the car and I saw this sign. If it's not in there, then it's not part of the work. I have a poem titled Death Notices that's about seeing over somebody's shoulder or something, a column in the newspaper with a heading, Death Notices. And I say that at the beginning of the poem. If it's not in there, then it's not in there, then it's not relevant. Art, and with plays or movies, for example, where they might be staged several times, same actors or different actors performing the same lines and the same actions. Does not invalidate this, because there's still, unless you're just really not any good at what you're doing, there's still something original about even that. But art is original and it's individual. There's something there that wasn't done before, and it's something that maybe not just you, but only a very few other people. Only you would have done this. There are other people, however talented, if they try, they wouldn't even think of it. And once it's in front of them, why not? If I had had the idea, I still wouldn't have been able to do it. I wouldn't have been able to bring it off. There's up Andy Warhol with his 4-panel silk screens. Works because it's Andy Warhol. The soup cans and the Brillo boxes work because it's Andy Warhol. If you're not Andy Warhol, don't fucking do it, because somebody already did it, and you doing it is not original, it's not individual, it is derivative of somebody else's work, somebody who already made it. And what's this last thing supposed to be? Oh. And, you can argue about this somewhat with some of the more concrete forms like paintings and drawings and sculpture, but I'd say even with that, the spectator, the viewer, at least should be bringing something new to their experience of it each time they view the piece again. Maybe not if it's been like a day or less, or an hour or less, but if it's been like a couple years and you come back to something that you haven't seen for a while and there isn't something new in your response to it, then there's something either wrong with you or something wrong with the piece, that it isn't really art. Definitely with and here, now this applies to the play or movie thing that I was talking about. Music is basically impossible to have every performance be the same. Even when you're using the same words, you're going to have some different intonation, you're going to have some different timing. There are going to be little things. Art is in flux. And one of my poems, I could have written it 15 years ago and it could have been the same ever since then, and today I look at it and I say these two words need to be flipped around, or there's this other little thing that I wrote since then that would fit in right between these two lines, or anything. Art is in flux. It's always changing, it's always moving, it is not static. Art is dynamic. Those are my thoughts for the day, and I've probably run a little over what I was supposed to be taking for my break, but it was worth saying it. Have a good one. There are my props.